Morning, eighth graders. Today I am going to be talking to you about how we are going to take notes for our world problem essay. For those of you I do not know, my name is Mr. Ozine. You watched a video from Mr. Gallagher on the overview and the instructions of the global essay. Those, of course, can be found in the folder on Schoology. Next, you watched a video that Mr. Martini made, and Mr. Martini talked about the resources that we are going to be using to get information. Today, I am going to be talking to you about what we are going to be taking our notes on, and those are going to be the digital note cards. I want to do this in a couple of steps, and I want to model for you how this is going to be done. First of all, when you open the digital note cards up, you will notice there's a couple things here. There's what I call source cards on there, and then there are note cards that look like this that say topic, source, note, analysis, or so what. Think of these like old-fashioned note cards, only they're digitally. This is where you're going to be keeping track of the research that you do, as well as the bibliography, the information of where the sources come from. You will need that when you write your paper. Now that we know this, let's go through and model how you're going to find information. Your Global Studies teacher should have a link on their Schoology page that looks at where the middle school online resources are. For me, they're in the general information. These are the resources that Mr. Martini talked about. I'm going to go down to the SIRS issue researcher. And out of the 5 topics that I brainstormed and kind of gave reasons why I believed they were problems that needed to be solved, I decided that my big topic was universal human rights. I type it in there, a bunch of things are going to come up. These articles are really nice. And again, what you're going to have to do with this is you're going to have to look at what they are about. On SIRS Researcher, for example, there are articles that are usually for the topic and also against the topic that you might be researching. So it is important that you read a little bit and look at them. I'm going to start with the background information, all right, and it gives me a summary. As you know from your paper instructions that Mr. Gallagher talked about, you are going to have some background information, as well as the reasons in the information and the statistics convincing us why it's a problem. So as I read this, and the nice part about SIRS Researcher is you also can listen to it, I'm going to see if there's any notes in here, and I notice that they are. The first line right here, universal human rights are often expressed and guaranteed by international treaties or international law. So here's what I'm going to do. Ask yourself, does this persuade us or does this provide some background? I think this is background. So on my digital note card, I am going to write down my topic is background. All right. I'm going to then, and I'll come back to source in a minute, I'm going to then go back and look at what my note is. All right, and I'm going to type it there. And you don't have to have it underlined. Fix with the formatting that works for you. Universal human rights. All right, guaranteed by a country or a treaty. All right, that's kind of step 1. Step 2, where did this note come from? Right, because we need to know that. So I'm going to go back here, and here's why I like this platform. Go to citation. All right, and it tells you where it comes from. Hit copy. Now, you're not going to put this on every note card. Your source card, my first source that I took a note from, all right, I'm going to paste it in here. What that tells me now is that on my source, it's source 1. It means anytime I take information from this source, I will put source 1 on. All right, so let's take a look at what we have now. We have our topic is background. We have our actual note. We know where we've got it from. Now we need the analysis, or what we sometimes call the so what. Why does this note matter? All right, this is your analysis when you write your paper. And I cannot stress enough, if you do a nice job with the analysis, it's going to make writing the paper a lot easier. So my note, human rights are often guaranteed by a country or a treaty. So what, why does this matter? If a country or world entity doesn't pass a treaty, It means that some people will not have human rights. All right, so my analysis here, this is the note, we break it down. All right, seem pretty straightforward. Let's practice again. All right, I'm going to go back to this article and let's see, can I get anything out? Can I get anything out here? All right, although the declaration is non-binding, its provisions have become a cornerstone of customary international law. So non-binding means that it really can't be enforced. Okay, so I'm going to take that and say it's hard to be enforced. So again, where did I get this from? Okay, so let's look, model it again, background information again. Okay, my source that I'm going to have then, okay, it's source one, and then I'm going to take my note and put it down here. It's going to look very similar, and you're going to go throughout. All right, I'm done with this article. If I find a new article, all right, and I take a note from there, the same thing. The new article, I take my citation, I copy it, and I'm going to put it under source 2. So anything I get from this source on my note card, anything I get from there, I'm going to then write down source 2. So see what this does is it allows you to keep track of your notes where they come from. This is going to be our note-taking process of how this is going to work. Your goal is to have 16 notes. I think you should have 8 notes for background. You should have 8 notes that define why it's a problem. Good luck with this. I think you will find this process to be pretty straightforward.